my dear friend, the majority leader, to say we're going to have an open amendment process is turning truth upside down. Please don't call this an open and fair process. If you want to rush it through, admit the consequences.
All right, Senate Minority Leader there, Chuck Schumer, criticizing the Republican health care plan and the way it was presented. Opposition also coming from within the GOP. At least those 3 GOP senators John just mentioned are expected to announce they will oppose the bill in its current form. Leslie Marshall is a syndicated radio host. Rich Lowry is an editor of the National Review. Both are Fox News contributors. Thank you very much for talking to us.
Hi there.
All right, Rich.
Hi.
We got 3 GOP senators already coming out expecting to oppose the GOP health care bill, now 4, in fact.
Right.
That means it's back to the drawing table for most of them. According to Chad Pergram, our senior producer of Capitol Hill, Senator Jeff Flake says we've got to go read the bill. Senator Luther Strange says, I don't know, we've got a lot of work to do. What will this mean for the bill's fate in the Senate?
Well, the margin for error is almost nil. They can lose 2 votes. The Senate leadership has more or less assumed since the beginning of this process that they're going to lose Rand Paul on the Libertarian right and probably lose Susan Collins on the moderate left. So then you really can't lose anyone else if you're really not getting those 2. So those statements you just read from Flake and Strange, they aren't categorical opposition. So I think what the Senate leadership has managed to do here is at least take the first step where you have a bill that probably the median Senate Republican can support. And then you're going to need to grab, a couple other votes and have more work to do on both the right side of the caucus and the left side of the caucus. And anyone who tells you they know with certainty how that's going to go at this juncture is lying. Okay,
so with these senators on the Republican side that already are coming forward saying that they're going to oppose it, Leslie, my question is, does this actually put the GOP plan in jeopardy, or is it just pasturing?
Well, I think it's actually a bit of both. I mean, if you look at what this has been for years, the reality is, at least from where I sit, this is not about improving health care for all Americans when it started out with 13 men sitting in a closed-door room making decisions for all Americans, we women included. What this has been from the beginning is an obsession to repeal and to replace Obamacare, which some, like Senator Rand Paul, call this Obamacare light. That's first. Second, what it is doing is ignoring the will of the constituency, and that's why you're going to see more and more Republicans, I think like Senators Flake and Heller as 2 examples in addition to Rand Paul, who are going to be opposed to this. Many of these Republican senators are very vulnerable, and their seats are up in the midterm election, and their constituents are becoming happier with the plan they have, especially those that are in nursing homes, 2/3 of them that rely on Medicare, 1 in 5 Americans, Medicaid, excuse me, 1 in 5 Americans that rely on Medicaid, and even though they're going to phase it out slowly, it will be phased out, and it will punish people, especially in rural areas. That's a huge concern. It also would allow states to remove mental health, maternity care, and emergency care services. This is a blow to all Americans, regardless of their ideology.
All right, Rich, I just want to get you some information from the inside. Our senior producer of Capitol Hill, again, Chad Pergram, has great information, and one includes Democratic Senator Ron Wyden reacting to the GOP, saying that Democrats aren't willing to work on Obamacare fixes or work with them. And here's his reply to that. I have never been asked. It is not just a fiction. It is a gross fiction. McConnell says the Democrats now have an opportunity to read the bill and hopefully be able to come together with Republicans to get something passed. I want your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, that's never going to happen. The passage of Obamacare was a partisan process. Inevitably, the repeal was going to be a partisan process. And if this is going to get done, it's going to be done just with Republican votes. But let there be no mistake. Obamacare is in a slow motion process of unraveling. It was poorly designed from the start. You have insurers exiting the program left and right. You have premiums skyrocketing. So the Obamacare status quo is dead one way or the other. The question is what is going to replace it. But the status quo is unsustainable.
Rich Lowry and Leslie Marshall, thank you so much.
Thank you.
John.